So, knock out comments real quick.
Okie dokie, so I decided to add the video on comments, which I mentioned at the beginning of this section, has nothing to do with math. It's just an oddball single topic that needs to go somewhere. So I decided to put it between the two mathy videos in this section. So if you're looking for the weirder operators video, that's after this one. But this will be super quick. So comments, like I said, it's a weird one-off topic, but it's an important one. So comments are just a way for us to write little notes inside of our code that won't actually be run. So let me show you. I'm actually going to make a new file. So I don't have any files in this directory. I'm going to make a file, and I'm just going to call it comments.py. And then I'm going to open comments.py. If you don't have this subl, S-U-B-L shortcut, or if you're using Cloud9, you could, in Cloud9, just double click on comments.py, or you can use open comments.py and we'll use whatever text editor. So I have this here, and let's just start by writing something like 1 divided by 3, and let's print 1 divided by 3, because remember, if we just do 1 divided by 3 without that print, nothing will show up when we run this file, because it's in a file, we're not using the Python interpreter in the command line. So we'll just start with this. All right, so back in the terminal, I can run python 3 comments.py, and we get 0.333. Great, that's what we expect. So let's say we wanted to add a note, though, that said something like always returns float, division returns float. Well, we can add a magic comment with this character, the hash, the pound symbol. It's actually called an octothorpe. It's kind of a piece of trivia that I might repeat too much in my courses, but oh well, octothorpe. So we can write whatever we want after this. So a little note to ourselves, like division returns float, even when dividing two ints. And that's all there is to a comment. So if I didn't have this comment, Python would try and run this, and that would be a big problem. Make sure you save your file before you do anything. If I try and run it now, I get a lovely error saying invalid syntax because it doesn't know what the heck is going on, because that's English, not Python. So I can add my comment there. Also, as a side note, if you are using an editor like Sublime, even in Cloud9, the text editor, or Atom, you can highlight something and type command / and it will comment the entire line. So wherever I put command / that line is commented out. Or you can just type a single octothorpe. All right, so now if I do this, hit the up arrow to rerun it, I don't get any errors, I don't have anything afterwards. So down here I could do something like 1 divided by 5. It doesn't matter, you could comment out Python itself, actual valid syntax, and still nothing will happen because it's commented out. So this just tells Python, ignore whatever comes after this. And that's all there is to comments. So let me just prove that one more time. Run it again, and this second line doesn't occur to Python. It's like it's not even there. Cloak of invisibility from the Python interpreter. So on the topic of comments, one thing that students often ask is, when should I use these? When do people use them? We'll talk more about this when we talk about style and conventions, but generally for you, if you're learning Python, I think it's helpful to add comments to yourself to remind you of things, because often just looking at a line of code, it's not all that self-explanatory, especially early on. So you can add a comment or two to kind of remind you of what the heck's going on. But also in the real world, comments are used to help other developers understand what's happening. So you might have some code that is very specific to something that you built. And maybe I work on a team of 10 people. I write some long thing that's 20 lines. I could add a comment that says, hey, this little function does X or Y. And then anyone else on my team could see it and immediately just know what it does. They wouldn't have to step line by line through it. Now, depending on the company and the team, some places really like you to comment your code a lot. Other places don't want comments at all, and they think code should be self-explanatory. So it's really just a culture thing. But if you're learning, I highly recommend using comments. I don't care personally with my students if they comment every single line, as long as it helps them learn and they're not just wasting time writing comments instead of code. All right, so that's comments. Now back to our regularly scheduled, not boring math program.
Start quiz. What is the result of running the following code? Well, this comments this out, so it'll just be this 1 divided by 2 times 2. Let's say 1.0, I believe. Yep. That's it. So That's it for comments.